What is going on, people of the internet? Man, it is a good day today, like it is every day, but today's extra special. Number one, Gyro Track Day. Shout out to the GT Mafia. Saw those folks, they're awesome. Talked about the upcoming GT podcast. Y'all are the first to know about this because that's how we do it here. And a couple other projects in the pipeline, but most importantly today, as I'm sure most of you are aware by now, who have been quick to get Facebook's notifications, we have a very special guest today, and his name is Ethel. And I'm happy to bring him on here. He's a great friend of mine, a hospitality professional, friend from college, but doing big things, always has, always will. Please help me welcome Mr. Ethel. What is going on, my friend? Oh, let me make sure I can hear you. Hang on one second. Got to figure out how to unmute you. Here we go. Bam, son. You're good now.
Thank you. Thank you. I highly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to kind of come on here and, I'm not the greatest presence, but it's good to be here.
Man, it is always a good day when Ethel is in the house, y'all. Ethel, how long ago was it since we were back in school, dude? I'm going to put you on the spot because I can't do math in my head right now.
Oh, man. At least more than a decade?
It's a long time, dude. More than a decade, y'all. We're getting old. We're like OGs now, right? Basically.
Yes.
I like the Kobe
Yes.
back there. Look at my man Kobe back there. R.I.P.
Yes. Yes.
Man,
All right.
the best. The best. Did you watch the big game, man?
I did. I did. I was uh I was pleasantly surprised. That's another goat. That's another goat. Good
For
old
sure.
TV.
For sure. I did not watch the game. I have just been too slammed to do stuff like that. I knew that. I was confident and I would see the highlights. I would know who won in the morning. I knew by, like, I guess 11. So good for him. All right, we got, oh, cool. How do I put this comment on there? We've got my man Leon. We should add him to the broadcast. I have this option to add people to the broadcast. Oh, no. ChatBot podcast, we're in trouble. I didn't even introduce the show. My name is Ryan Baggett. You're watching, like, usually what is the nerdiest thing on the internet at this time of night, the Chatbot podcast. But today it's not going to be so nerdy. It's going to be fun because we're here with Mr. Ethel Plowden, who is the Culinary Institute down the road, a hospitality professor there. I've had the great privilege of listening to one of his lectures and seeing him in action. That was fun, and even speaking, that was great. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Ethel, and tell us, why you're dominant in the hospitality industry, because you are, and we'll get into why he was a first original believer in TTT. But get into it, man. Tell the people who you are.
Well, my whole background kind of stems from, loving food and loving to eat. So, naturally, I never knew being in culinary was going to be my field of choice, until I was like kind of forced into that position right when graduating high school. I had no idea what I was going to do. So finally, went into a culinary program, loved it, worked in fine dining, loved that. And then finally, my chef had the idea and wherewithal to kind of push me to get my hospitality degree. So I went out, went down to Bluffton, with I met you, and your wife, but just really loved the program, loved everything about hospitality, connecting with people, um, getting different guest experiences, eating food, sharing camaraderie. And so it's really just been a whole whirlwind of that. So now I kind of have a front seat at getting back to a lot of the students that are in our program, and talking with them about the nuances and, hospitality, even for us, has changed in 10 years. So when I started my career, it was completely different than it is now, especially with the different avenues, different ways that you can engage customers, and uh, it's a very different experience. I will say that.
I'll tell you what, I couldn't agree more, man. It blows me away, the changes that I see daily in the different landscapes that I play in, whether it's Facebook world and they're changing the rules again, or they're adding this new thing, or whether it's the technology world where this technology now talks to this technology. And when I say talks, that's intentional. It's like it's all about communication and it's all about experience, I think. And at this point, with the what's going on. I think it's about being creative, and that's one thing I think you and I have both always kind of shared I think in common. We're creative people, and we're not likely to take no for an answer from what I remember correctly back in the college
Correct.
days, man. So like it's so cool to see, someone who like everyone knew was going to be successful back in the day, crushing it, and now bringing that knowledge to the new generation. Now, tell me, how tough is it to be in the college atmosphere, as a student or as a professor in your case during these times, man? Because back in our days, man, college was fun. Wasn't it, Athel? We had some fun, man.
Yes. I mean, I guess maybe in looking at this small microscope, like right now, it is very difficult because students now not only have to deal with focusing on school, but really managing priorities. Being in school in a pandemic where you have to consider about the health of either your children, your family, your loved ones, even going to school and making that commitment to your education, to your future, and what that would look like. And it is not easy because I see it more now than with anything else. You have students that want to enroll, but may not have enough funds to do it because a lot of jobs are being cut or lost, or operations, businesses closing. So you really have to uh, really dig your feet really hard in the ground, and it's not fun right now. I can tell you that. It's very difficult teaching, especially doing it in hospitality and culinary with the onset of trying to manage a school system and making curriculum that is possibly internet based. And it's very hard to do that with hospitality and culinary, working students and learning. So I do know that it is a very trying time to do it now. But again, it's given us a lot of creative ways to come up with how you test students, how you engage them in their free time, how you use the internet to their advantage and not disadvantage for them to continue to learn outside of the classroom.
He is dropping the bombs, man. I'm telling you what, if I could only just make that sound like, the DJ that. Did you hear it? I've wanted to do that the entire time I've done this podcast thing, man. I've wanted to do the air word so bad. You just dropped such a bomb.
2021.
I'm 2021 is gonna be nothing but fun. We're gonna do it again. What's up, man? Man, that's what it's about. See, now this is what I'm gonna tell y'all I'm about. You see that beautiful smile Mr. Athel just displayed? I'm all about the smiles, man. I'm all about the experience, and I think I always have been. I think that's why we linked up in hospitality school at USCB, and it's astonishing to me that we're in such great places now, still in the hemisphere of hospitality. But I just wanted to like. I didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I know my mom probably wanted me to do those things so I'd have a bunch of money one day. But like I didn't want to be responsible for people's lives, like literally. Like I didn't want to be responsible for A, people dying, or B, people going to like jail or something, right? So no
Yeah.
lawyer, no doctor pathway for Ryan. Instead, I was like, listen, I'll be responsible for someone's vacation, make sure they have fun. How about that? Like when I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And luckily, when I was younger, I had an awesome job at the Westin Savannah Harbor, which is still like the most gangster hotel in Savannah, and I mean that in the most respectful way, Mr. Spadoni. If he's still there, I'm sure he is. But like, that was my thing. Like I enjoyed that lifestyle. I enjoyed making people feel good and helping people and helping solve problems, whether that was being a pool boy, solving the problem of the guest needs a towel, because I did that job. Shout out Stacia. Or if it was being revenue manager at the beach house, oceanfront resort on Hilton Head, I was solving major problems there that we won't even get into. But it's
Yeah.
it's it's been an interesting journey, and I agree wholeheartedly that the landscape has changed drastically. Now, something that is more specific to you, they're not going to give Ryan any of that money for sure. But like, what is going on as far as the what do you call it, the stimulus stuff and the wages stuff going on here? Because that's like I think going to rock the hospitality world. Am I wrong here?
No, you're absolutely right. And I was having a very deep conversation with someone just recently about the impact that it would have, not just in overall sectors, but in hospitality. And I mean, one thing that people really don't consider is when you look at the southern region and the southern area, one of the things that you have to really take into consideration is most of this area is all based on hospitality and tourism. Uh, Most of the money that comes in is through hospitality. So if you look at South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, those areas are heavily dominated with hospitality and tourism as an entire sector. So you're talking about millions and millions of jobs that will have a price increase, but I also think that it takes some consideration to how these businesses operate. Because even with the pandemic and coronavirus, it took out quite a few hospitality or leisure places and establishments. So, with that being said, if you're not taking into consideration how that's going to impact a business, an operation, the employees, an employer that is either a small business. Those are substantial impacts on the economy. And especially, I do agree that having that price increase is beneficial for employees, but it also has to be beneficial for employers that have these employees because it has to be a two-way fold. It has to be a two-way street.
I couldn't agree more with you there. TTT, we're not that giant yet. We're getting there. We're doing some things, but we don't have a giant staff, and so I can say that luckily, I guess in this niche space of digital marketing, the powerful sector of digital, you're not going to find many people that will work less than what would be minimum wage. Matter of fact, you have to price things very competitively, or either A, your people will leave you for your competitor, which would really suck, or B,
Yeah.
like you're just not going to get quality help. And in our case, in this specific case of what I do, having someone that doesn't assist like move the needle forward, and they're just gonna like not hold us back but like pull us backwards. So I can't afford to take steps backwards, so I'm happy to, I say this with a smile, I'm happy to pay premium for any work that I require, and I want to be known as someone that does, because I've totally been like screwed over many times, like as far as pay goes, in this life that I've lived of the entrepreneur business guy. Like, people want to skip out on their bill or not pay, and I've got to figure out how to call the mafia up and handle it. No, I'm just kidding. It's just like actually just the invoices just stay outstanding on the QuickBooks app. But
Hmm.
it's like it's difficult to truthfully put in the amount of weight a team really brings to the table. But it's a huge weight, and we have a perfect example of this, don't we, Phil? I mean, this guy, by the way, I think I'm sure that I've talked about you on several episodes, but this guy, let's see if I've got it. Yes, was one of the first. Make this a little smaller so we can see you. He was one of the first believers and clients of TTT, baby, of Tap the Table, right? And he gave me a shot. You can attest this, Estelle. I'm not one to ask favors in general. I'm one to likely do the favors in most cases for people. I'm happy to do that, but I don't ask for a lot, because when I do, I feel like I hope it means something. It's like, well, if Ryan's asking me to do this crap, or if Ryan's telling me to look at this, maybe I should, right? I always want to like have that reputation, so I feel like A, you're just like a cool dude, and we go back, but like even after not like being so like tight as we were in college, like seeing each other all the time because of classes, you took it pretty seriously when I hit you up about the concept of Tap the Table I had, and you helped shape it in many ways. We've talked at least a multiple 2 times of every month, so you've totally like got your DNA on Tap the Table for sure. But what do you think about you know how conversational marketing works, or actually we can even talk about QR codes and NFC. Like, you're one of the
Hmm.
people that helped design that program. Do you see even outside of Tap the Table, do you see a future in that sort of technology and way of having that contactless thing just going forward? We were talking before about when is this, I was talking, I'll be clear, I was talking about this, not him. I said, when's this mask stuff going to end, man? I hate masks. I hate them, but I wear them all the time now. When's it going to end? Is it ever going to end? Do you think we're going to have always a need for this contactless, like, Uber safe stuff, I guess you'd say it, call it?
Yeah, and just to backtrack and not to say anything bad, but before you introduced me to it, I was highly skeptical of it because I've seen
This
the
is true.
text
This is
to
true.
the text to consumer applications, things like that, and I thought it was more of a nuisance than it was a advantage to a consumer, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So so when we had talked about it and introduced it for a restaurant concept, I was on board with it because I saw the potential in how it would interact with a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And that said a lot. I mean, especially this was before the pandemic hit, and seeing how it relayed to the business and having that substantial impact. Not only did we have our employees engage with it, but also having consumers come in and say, "Oh, this is really cool. Like I could do this right here, right now, directly with you in 30 seconds to a minute." And they were signed up for a program. I mean, and that was the key that was driving that bus.
And
Like it
I'm,
was like, okay,
I want to get
go
into
ahead. Go ahead.
detail on this, man, because like, again, and to those of you that are in conversational commerce and or chat marketing, whatever it is you want to call it, please do not make the mistake of thinking like it gets stale just because you're looking at this stuff all day. You must realize that like we have the data. So many people have never seen anything like what Tap the Table offers. They don't know it exists. If they did, Messenger would be blown up even more than it is as a whole as an app, even though it's like one of the biggest in the world. What exactly, Ethel, like explain this piece, and then I'm going to get into the back end on how you make it work. So, like, explain to them, I guess, what Tap the Table was to you, like in your words, like as someone that is not so involved in the social side or the tech side. You're an operations dude. What is it
Yeah.
that the guest did, and what is it that was required of said customer to make everything jive? Like, tell the audience like what actually the process was, because you said they were signed up, but like, how did those things actually happen? I think that's what will be very interesting for the restaurant audience that we've got going on tonight.
Yeah. So, I mean, I looked at it and I mean, give an example of two different consumers. So, and I still have like these conversations with different people that have interacted with that same program. And when I bring it up, they're like, oh, yeah, I totally remember. So, you could have your employees, or my employees for this matter, talk to a guest and say, hey, listen, we've got this special program, sign up, and you can get something free or however you want to craft it. And they're like, okay, well, what does it require from me? You just sign up, tap a couple of taps, and you get your information in there, and then you're enrolled in the system, and it could be a good reward loyalty program. That was one person. Another person would see all these people doing the same thing, and they would say, well, what is it that they're doing? Because I want to be a part of it. It's like, well, it's a customer reward loyalty program. So if you sign up for it, it's pretty easy, no maintenance from you. If we have specials, features, anything like that, we can just text it to you, or you can just opt out at any point. And it was very low maintenance for them to keep up with, but it was a very good piece for us to very interact with our guests, but also give them another touch point, because every business, for what I teach for my students, is a moment of truth. And moment of truth is anytime a customer comes in contact with your business. So if it's a first time person and they call up for a reservation, they're like, hey, I want to have a reservation for 5 people. If it's a positive or negative reaction, that's what they base their opinions about your business on, whether it's good or bad. So if they interact with this social media, e-commerce application, and if it's negative, that's their impression of your business. And if it's positive, then you've got a repeat customer. And so again, you can tip your business in a positive direction or a negative direction, but this helps influence it in a positive direction. So if they had a bad experience, if they didn't get this, they can actually interact with your business and have real-time solutions. And as far as you and I know, because of how technology is driven now, as opposed to 10, 15, 20 years ago, you could sit there and call up the customer line and sit there for 30 minutes waiting to talk to somebody and just completely blast them and say, I was unhappy with this. Oh, we'll send you this free. What if you had that same interaction and within 5 minutes you were talking with the person that was either directly in front of you or say, hey, listen, you know what? We hear you had a bad experience. Come back in. It's on us. We'd love to hear more about it. And that is what can translate into having a positive experience, not just having a negative one, but correcting the negative mistakes, because we're all people and we all make mistakes. But that's the point that businesses need to understand.
Man, you nailed it. And, that was one of the big initiatives that we had up front is, and ladies and gentlemen, he was very skeptical. I'm saying that we were very good friends,
Yeah.
but when it comes to business, like there's a separation, a big line, a fine line, I guess, is some, but you don't cross the lines too much because you have to be careful. Well, you want to take care of both relationships, but you have to pay the bills. Well, Athel was all about that work. He was not going to let friends he was not going to let Ryan cross the line, right? So like he really
Yeah.
vetted me and vetted TTT, up front and helped honestly find several bugs. And it was back in February of last year, like a year ago, literally. And like he helped me find things and fine tune things. And what really drives home is his leadership pushing the other employees and the customers to do the thing that they were investing in made all the difference. And I have to say that without participation, there's no marketing that works. Like there must be participation on both ends, right? You have to
Correct.
actually let your customers know that the thing you want them to know exists, and they have to like respond, and they have to respond in a way where you can understand and see that communication, and then reply when needed. And let's see if Athel remembers this is a year ago, guys. We're getting old, right? So we're going to test Athel's memory and mine to make sure I asked the question correctly. This is totally off the cuff. But do you remember, like, the secret word, the code word, the keyword, what it is, that we wanted the guest to type if they ever had an issue? Like, because there were issues with, like, the original points programs. So, for example, they tapped the NFC chip, or they scanned the QR code, but Ryan's chatbot, the early ones with Google Sheets and the other cheap, well, the more affordable chatbot platform just wouldn't work. What was the code word? Do you remember what it was? Put
I
him on the
don't.
spot. It was very easy. Help, help.
Oh,
Just type
yeah.
help. I said, listen, listen, business and employees and such. If y'all ever have a problem, y'all don't handle it. Don't take time from your day, guys. This is very important. I'm gonna put the hammer on me for a second. That's it. That's Athel, not Ryan. Let's try that again. Boom! Look at this. I love Athel. Hang tight, Athel. I'm gonna bring you back, but this is important. This is like the serious. Like let's put the title card on here. This is the one you look in the camera and you're serious. The amount of times that you need to have a backup for your backup is essential. And this is the difference between what he was referring to as good chatbots or automation and bad chatbots and automation, folks. It is imperative that you care. It is imperative that you try. If you invest in marketing and you're not seeing results, guess what's happening? Probably no results. And I think that without like getting ourselves in too much trouble, I think that you can easily agree or disagree that you've seen many business owners spend money on marketing and even that social media stuff that's probably not done them much of any good. Can you tell me this is true or not?
Oh, it's 1,000% true.
So, like,
I
just
mean, you
because
can
you say that you can post on Facebook doesn't mean you're an expert, maybe? I don't know. I
absolutely. I
don't know.
mean, if you break it down and you look at even the businesses that have not succeeded through the pandemic, and not all of them are the same, but if you look at them at a scale and see what they've been able to do throughout the pandemic and prior to the pandemic, if they hadn't focused in on getting in touch with their customers, it's been so difficult for them, like, because even wherever your listeners are, uh, sometimes you'll find that hiccup between knowing when a business is open and when they're not open, or whether what their operating hours are or what they're not. And then if you're marketing to these people that are your guests, your repeat customers, the people that drive your revenue stream, if they don't know when you're open, guess what? They're not coming to you. It's plain and simple. Uh, and so I think again, you have a lot of people that are in social media, in marketing, but again, I'm not an expert in it. I just know how customers relate to a business and what they view it as. So, yes, it is very important for them to either wield it in the correct direction to
Or save
make
the
you
money, or
money.
save the money. Like if they're doing a
Yeah,
crappy
save
job,
the
stop
money.
spending the money, man. Like clients, I'm getting a lot of phone calls lately for me being the chat man, right? The conversational like text guy, I guess. I'm getting a lot of phone calls lately, which is great. Thank you all. I appreciate the phone calls. I hope to help all of you. But like, it blows me away of what people's expectations are and what they're not. Like, it blows me away. Like I had a conversation yesterday that we were talking about expertise, right? I don't think you have to be an expert to know if a chatbot works well or not. Like if it takes an expert to know if your chatbot works well, it probably does not work well. Like the person that's never seen a chatbot should love it. Like they're like, what is this? This sucks. Like you've done a bad job. It's not the chatbot's fault. You know, Nathel made sure that didn't happen because he would be like, well,
Correct.
what if it said this? What if the guest says this, Ryan? He was giving me all the scenarios, and like finally, like, that's when I guess like the programs I was using like ended up breaking, and we lost that client. Actually, you had already transitioned into your next gig, which is a big step up in my opinion to your career path. I think it's huge what you're doing and educating hoodlums like we used to be. But like all these things must happen in order for you to have the best of the best product, the best of the best staff, the best of the best building. Like you have to allow for
Yeah.
failure. You have to allow for things to break to fix them better and make them better than before. And it really bugs me like more than anything because I see it all the time. When I first started, like you remember at USCB, bro, like people made fun of me. Like Ryan thinks he's gonna make money with Facebook. Silly. Tell him to stick with hotels, right? That was like basically the consensus because it was so new. When I see these days the fake, I call them fake, the fake social media gurus out there, they're just like
Yeah.
checking off boxes. It really does so many bad things and harm to the industry that like it's almost hard for Ryan to just keep quiet about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a hurting the business that is giving you money. A B they're losing money because they're giving it to you. You're not doing anything with it. And C they're losing time and potential market share every day that they're failing and their other person or agency's failing and the competitor is winning. Now I love it when I work for the competitor because we win,
Exactly.
but like it blows me away. And like we've had many conversations, and at first, folks, Athel was just, I'm going to say it, skeptical of social working in the first place. But like because at this point, 10 years from like Facebook's business operations opening up to us to do what we're able to do, there have been so many success stories, I guess, and so many like lives changed and businesses changed that like Athel, smart dude, even though he's skeptical of social, he's like, well, let's give it a try. Ryan's been doing it for a long time. He's not like gone broke yet. So like maybe he can help
Well,
after all, right? And then at the end of it, it was like you knew it worked and you knew that it just was some people or some systems were better than others, I think. And it was clear to
yeah.
see.
Yeah, and I think
Data doesn't lie.
that was a very fun part about working with TTT, because not only did we, I mean, mostly you, but like getting it up to where it was, but also being able to troubleshoot, because I had employees that were like, how does this thing work? How does this even, how is this going to make us any better? How is this going to interact with the customer? And I brought it from the standpoint of, if we can retain at least 10% of the people that come in on a regular basis and
Mm-hmm.
get them to be diehard lovers of us, right? in hospitality, that's what you want as any restaurant. I mean, if you get 50% of your people that come back all the time, even twice a week, you're winning. And you have, I mean, you can call it a cult following, but that's what drives your revenue, not from one person coming in one time spending $10. If they come in twice a week and they're spending 30, 40, that gives you something that is way beyond, having a million customers that come in once. And I think that was the fun part to it, because you get to see the residual effect of how important, how imperative that is to keep touching customers.
You won't, man. I'll tell you, dude. Like, you won't understand. Audience, you will not understand. I know that the owner, and I'm sure she's not listening. I'm sure she's doing other things at 8:15 p.m. on what is today, Tuesday. But I'll tell you, man, it really did make my day, because it was the first time, actually the first customer of TTT ever, like had a pretty like fantastic like 24 48 hours after like launching some stuff. But I did content for her, so it's not totally like apples to apples. When the owner of this establishment hit me up, I think she texted me. I don't know if she texted me or called me, but literally she was like, Ryan, we just had the best week. It was either the best
It was a
week or
weekend.
best
It was the
weekend.
weekend.
Man, look at
Yeah.
y'all. See, I'm not even gonna have to finish this story. Like he knew, but it was like, because even that was when he started to realize, folks, that social media stuff works, right? Like you're
Yeah.
it's like okay, well, I can see the increase. Like the day one, maybe that was a fluke. Day two, all right, Ryan, what do you got cooking, right? But you saw it. And guys, the important thing to note here is, although Tap the Table is awesome, it takes people like Ethel, like I'm pointing over to my monitor here, like y'all can see where I'm pointing at. It takes people like Ethel to make this stuff work. You can have a Ferrari that is the fastest car ever built, but guess what? If you don't have any gas, the Honda wins every time. Or if you don't know how to drive the thing because it's a stick shift instead of an automatic, guess what? The Honda's still winning, right? You have to have someone that is going to be at the wheel of any business and drive it to the finish line, or it can sit at the start line and not go anywhere, or go worse, in reverse, right? And you nailed it. All you really need is a small percentage of your
Yeah.
audience to do something. And that's when he saw the numbers, folks. And when the business owner hit me up, it's like, we just had the best weekend we've ever like had. I was like, I like
Well, no,
chills and
no,
all
no.
the
Let me
things.
let me can I retract that statement just a little
Yes,
bit?
yeah. You put whatever.
So
This is, man.
so
This isn't
so
like it's live or anything, dude. Like, come on,
yeah.
man.
So it was we crushed it, in a sense.
Yes.
In the slang term, we
Yeah.
crushed it.
Crushed it.
It was the largest sales weekend we had since they opened the restaurant.
Boom, son. That's what I'm talking
Two
about.
days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
2 days, like Friday and
Mm-hmm.
Saturday back to back, the busiest we have ever been for this restaurant establishment. So since they opened, they hadn't hit those numbers again.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that to me, I mean, even though you hit that first opening mark, like I said, if you work in hospitality, if you work in restaurants, your opening week, usually you have a lot of buzz, you have a lot of people, and they all want to come and try the location or place or restaurant concept, whatever you have. Those numbers are hard to replicate unless you do it on a consistent basis. By the time we implemented TTT in less than 3 or 4 days, we jumped back up to that threshold and exceeded it.
Man, that still like it for real gives me chills still. Like to like recall that call and then like confirming it with you. It's like, man, this lady pulling my leg, like but it was real. And
Yeah.
again, guys, for this to work, like Ethel is a unique use case to this situation. I think was a unique use case. That, actually, matter of fact, this system that I used back then, before like Tap the Table as a platform existed, was ManyChat and Bot Sheets. And man, I think that I broke a record for Bot Sheets at that time for food truck sales in a day. Like the first day we made food truck sales, actually, it was like record breaking. That was a different side of that was business number
Mm-hmm.
two. Like the first
Yeah.
one that Ethel got me in was the original spot, and then we did well and got in the other one as well. But the main point here I wanted to make is it takes, yes, a great tool like TTT for sure, but it takes also a great team. Okay. And maybe most importantly, if I'm sure it is most importantly, honestly, it takes great leadership to make anything work. Where he's telling, you guys, they've broken this record. I can promise you this. It would not have happened had it not been for someone at the wheel driving that restaurant to the finish line. That's the truth, man. And like, I really thank you for that, because honestly, bro, like, had it not been for your leadership at that place, like, I might not have gotten the encouragement to keep doing the thing, because it was so new. But when I saw the success, and finally, folks, this is where it's big. Finally, there, like, without a doubt, you could see the difference in sales. Your social media was generating you sales, and you could see it. And like, there are multiple ways to track this, even down to the dollar. When TTT just kept getting better and better, and it's like one of the main reasons it did get better. And I know I'm going to be cautious of your time. I'm sorry to keep you so long.
No, you're all good.
I'm telling you, man. Like, this dude would tell me when something sucked. He would tell me, like, Ryan, this. He would text me, and like, part of me is like, I thought, dog, it's Saturday night, man. I'm trying to have fun. But then it's like, 30-year-old Ryan brain kicks in. It's like, well, Athel is Ryan's friend, but he's also client. We must treat him as such. And so, like, we get the things done, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think I ever said no to any request ever. But, like, even though he's a friend, treat him like a client, do the things. He may tap the table with his critiques, some nicer than others, better every single time. Every time you did anything with it. And when you invested in the tool and you got your team to do the same, magic happened. And it was awesome to see. And it was unfortunate that the tool was back in the day broke. And I was like, what the heck? I was doing so great, and this broke. And like, broke during you weren't there that day, I don't think. It broke during one of their food truck services. And man, like, I was so down on myself for a while. I was like, how could this stuff break? It's supposed to be a computer, supposed to be great. And then you realize limitations. And luckily, that's how Tap the Table is like finally here in this great state that it's in. It's unbreakable now, baby. We got millions of followers thanks to some select clients I cannot name. Millions of people using the system daily. But man, it takes failure, and it takes
Yeah.
being able to take criticism and being able to be coachable. And it takes good educators to make things great. And I appreciate you for everything you've done.
Well, let me throw out there too. I mean, even with I know you're going to give me some credit, but a lot of it was matching the energy that you brought because again, I
Mm.
wasn't 100% on board with it. I had a restaurant concept or even doing e-commerce or doing dealing with chatbots, right? My all my presence was negative. But it's either fail big or go home. Like if you failed at this, at least you try to put forth your best effort to make it run and make it work. And the energy that you came with and matched with, again, if I had critiques or good things that were going well with it, you were Johnny on the spot. Like, all right, let me see if I can get this fixed. Oh, and again, we were going back and forth about how to tweak it, how to make it better. And I think that was the point that made it stand out and made it what TTT is now. Not just, like, oh man, this thing broke down and yeah, it might suck at this point. But it was like, how can we make this better? How can we make this better? Oh, what if this did this? What if this did this? And you came back with every last thing like, oh, let me research this. Let me get on this. And that, I mean, is again, same way with you talk about leadership, the same way that you have your tool, the way that you handle it and everything that you invest into it, that matters 100%.
Do it again. I'm gonna play it again, dude. No, no, no. You hear the thing? Come on, I'll keep playing it, dude. You like making me cry on my own podcast, dude. Don't be doing that. Thank you, dude. For that
Yeah, don't
really
get no
means a lot.
tears. No tears.
Well, I cry at night when I close the camera. Usually,
Gotcha.
dude.
Gotcha.
Man, I really appreciate that. Man, I promise I didn't expect you coming with that, but I really appreciate it, man. And I'll tell you, it's been an uphill battle at times, but when you see the tech work, and again, like going, we'll end on it, this subject, so we'll go back and forth forever. Like back in college days, back and forth.
Yeah.
Like I was so pumped to see what like I saw could be possible in my head that it could work. To see it actually come to fruition and have that instant gratification is the thing that millennials like just want. They want that instant gratification. I'm the biggest person that's guilty there. And like when I could see in my head, all right, thanks to Kelly from Baby Got Bot, I'm figuring out how to make Facebook Messenger keep track of numbers and statistics and information and then spit it back out at people and do things and be dynamic. I just had this thought in my head, man, and to see it work, that's what led us to where we're at today, and we're in a really good position. Like I mentioned, I've got to have some bragging points in there from large manufacturers using the thing to freaking A plus 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 list celebrities I jam out to their music all the time. I can't. I mean, I wish I could say the name, but I can't. They'd get me. Can't do that.
I know.
And there's more to come. I hope they've assured me
Yeah.
that this is going to be true. So hopefully TTT will have some more celebrities on the roster here in the near future. That would be awesome. But again, like to see it work
That's
is what
special.
got me. But you got it there, man. And without you pushing it, I just am not confident that it would have worked at the same level. And I need all the data, right? And you got me all the data. And shout out to, I want to throw this on the screen now. I threw your bachelor party, or not bachelor party, but your bachelor photo on the screen by mistake. At first, I want to throw this, single ladies. I'm going to put that back on there because maybe it wasn't a mistake. Let me put this thing on there, Doc. He said this is his photo. He said single ladies.
That's what I look like in real life.
You give him a shout. He's a thell. He's awesome. He's just awesome, y'all. But I wanted to. This is the one I'm trying to get here. If I can pull it up and remember what I was going to say about it at the same time, this would be a miracle. Let's see if I can get my memory spared. So check this out. Have you heard of Clubhouse yet, bro? Oops.
I have.
So you got to get an iPhone to use it, and I know you have a Droid.
Yeah.
You
I'm,
got to get
I'm
on
droiding
that
over
iPhone.
here.
They'll open it up, but I want to just give a special shout out to number one Kelly because she's awesome. She's taught me so many of the things, and she invited me into this special VIP Clubhouse iPhone only room, right? And along with Daniel, who is who's an entrepreneur and business owner and host of the Chat Marketing Podcast. Shout out to them for having me on there. There's some interesting conversations going on, and what I think we're going to find is along, with NFC and QR codes and chatbots in general, I think we're going to see some extremely futuristic experiential stuff going on. And like, there's still many people that don't understand what it is we're talking about. They just have to experience it, like you did a really good job at the beginning of the show, like explaining the process of TTT, or at least the loyalty club aspect of it. In general, it's been over the past like 12 months or 13 months now. It's been difficult to like say what the elevator pitch is, other than to say, well, this is the best marketing tool ever invented for restaurants, period. Sorry. Like, without saying that, because it sounds too fake and too pompous, like,
Yeah.
it's hard to explain what all it does. And you did that
It is.
so well. Let me ask you this really quick before I lose my train of thought here too much. What's your favorite or the most surprising thing that you've learned dealing with this nerd right here in this chat game? Because you've made menus, guys. Like, this dude has done all the things in TTT. Like, when I say he was with me since Google Sheets and Bot Sheets back in the day when I used those things, he was with me since then to where we are now. So he's looked at flows to funnels. Like, he's looked at spreadsheets to databases. He's really seen a lot. But what's the thing that's most surprising? Either most people, it's the comment tool, or it's how we're able to like predict the phone number and email and stuff. Like, what do you think? I'm just interested to know personally. I'd ask him this
I
too. We're
would
just talking on the phone
I,
right
I
now.
would say it's more of having customers at your fingertips. And that sounds weird,
Boom.
but like
Yes.
I
The whole
think
point.
that part was the most interesting part. Like when we started to play around with it, like we even I was even thinking about like, hey, what if one day I wanted to randomly like have this special and just
Mm-hmm.
get it to everybody that signed up? And it
Yep.
was just that easy. Like for example, I could be like, hey, listen, we got this nice cheeseburger today. It's going to be this, and we've got X amount left, and we just send it out. I think that was more interesting instead of putting it on email list and possibly getting it and possibly getting deleted, put in the trash bin. Like it was at a text message, and I had over 75 people come up that day and were like, oh yeah, we saw the text message, we just came in and we know you got this. And I'm like, that to me is cool because again, everybody's texting, even if they don't text, they're using their phone for some application, they're GPSing somewhere, or
Omni-channel.
looking up your
Exactly.
menu. So like
Mm-hmm.
it was a real time thing that they could be like, oh, I see that, cool, all right, yeah.
You're dropping the hot fire. Dial on style, man. Like, straight up. Had Chappelle on the GIF yesterday. The fear of missing out, folks. Hashtag FOMO. That's real. And what Ethel's saying is something that we did do, I think, at least once or twice. If
Hmm.
not, like I've done it at other places after he's like planted the seed in my head to do such a thing. He's given me so many
Yep.
ideas of like some of the permanent things you guys see in the TTT dashboard is like literally because he complained about the way I had it before, but it made it better, so it stuck, right? The fear,
I'll take credit for it. I mean,
some of the better features, seriously. But like what he's talking about, and so all right, you got the loyalty club. All right, cool. We have loyal customers. Great, Ryan. What does that do for us? They come in when they want and they fill out their digital loyalty card like you showed us how to do last night for an hour, 10 minutes because you're crazy. What it does is allows you to like broadcast things to your list and say like, here's an email or text message that says, hey, come join us on this event. Here's our pop up. We're gonna have a breakfast pop up. Come join us, and then you prepare for it, right? But it also can say, all right, every Tuesday we're gonna be tripping on Tuesday, so we're gonna be tripping over these 25 things that we're gonna sell, and that's it. And you're gonna find out if you can purchase one at this time at 2 o'clock on Trippy Tuesday, right? Like TTT. Again, I'm all about the
mhm.
alliterations and the abbreviations, right? But you make demand, you create scarcity. This is one of the coolest things that I've seen done in the hospitality industry. It does it well. Hello Hotel Rooms, and
Yeah.
they can do it well. But restaurants are the best when you create your own, I guess, supply and demand.
Yep.
That is where it's at. So listen, guys, when you get the message sent out by Othel's person he told to send the message out to, the first 10 people, the first 25 people to buy this, they're the ones that get it, no one else. We would see phones light up. Matter of fact, like when we dialed it in, when it was really working solid, I guess towards the end of March at this point, maybe going into April, I forget. When we were having it, was twerking, guys. Every morning, I knew when that I knew when that place that sold things like bagels opened up, boy, I'm not going to say the name because I'm not putting anybody's business out there. I knew when they were open because I could be in bed and that phone's being tapped at like 7 a.m., 6 a.m., like telling me that the rewards program is working as it should. Matter of
Hmm.
fact, like like the first half of last year, like if my phone wasn't freaking out at all points in the day, I would assume something's like broken. I gotta fix it or something, right? And I finally turned all the notifications off because there's just too much at this point. Like the iPhone just hates me. But I would know it worked, and I would know if Ethel was working or not. This was the real deal. I'll bet you almost anything if you looked at that restaurant's days of revenue, the days with the most revenue, the days Ethel worked. It's not because in general, like I'm not saying more people went there because of him. I'm just saying things were more efficient. They were probably upsold. They were probably just experiencing a better time at that venue. Hence, the numbers were up those days because he cared. I think that's what it comes down to. Like Gary Vee got a lot of hate about this one post he did the other day, and like part of it makes sense, part of it's like, come on, Gary. But it was like, here's the number one marketing strategy: care. So like some people are like, oh, that's so lame, blah blah blah. But I get it though, like Gary, I get it,
Hmm.
man. You have to care, and this guy Phil cares so much. Like he's gonna try to sell an extra thing for your business if he works there, like or try to get in the mind of this human that he's teaching at the institute. This is how you do the thing. I kind of am the same way. Like all I want to do is solve problems and achieve the goal. Like at the end of the day, the last bank account that I think about is mine. Like truthfully, this is bad. Like the last bank account I think about is mine. I think about my clients' bank accounts, who are all basically very rich at this point. Um, I think about theirs all the time because I want it to grow. That is my job in my mind, right? And I just know that as
Yeah.
long as I'm achieving that, and I'm solving a problem, everything's going to work
Facts.
out for my stuff. And you're the same way, and just a different, more hands-on approach with all that operation stuff and like dealing with people and all that. Like, I'm not cut out for that, man. I just need my bots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Less people, more bots. Is that what you're saying?
that's that, man. Sure, you're a marketing master as well. Like, get this, man. How fun, dude! I've been trying to get this dude. Like both of us have insane schedules. I've literally been trying to get this dude for months, and so this has totally been one of the most fun podcasts I've had. And this is episode 8 of season 2. I did 50 episodes last year at least, so like I've done a couple now, man. It's been my most fun one, my most
Yeah.
like
It's been
relaxed
like a
one.
reunion.
It's man, quit lying. It's like a phone call except FaceTime, but
Yeah.
like we don't FaceTime each other, folks. Not usually. So this has
Yeah,
like been a treat. You guys get to see our conversations, and thanks for Leon and anybody else leaving comments that I probably can't see and all the
yeah.
things. But Athel, man, I appreciate you, dude. Do you have any last thoughts, or better yet, advice for either A, restaurant professionals, because you're qualified to do that as a restaurateur yourself and a teacher of the ways and educator. You have any last words, thoughts, advice for restaurant owners out there? And do you also have any thoughts or advice for people like Brian was who are pushing technology that solve problems? Do you have any advice for either party before we end?
I would say if you are in restaurants, especially now during the pandemic, if you haven't already known, you have to be extremely agile. uh, Technology should be more of your friend now if you haven't noticed that. Um, and again, keep plugging away. But these things that again, like I was very unsure of before, and I'm no technology wizard, so I can't really tell you all the ins and outs. But the way that our consumers are consuming business is through technology at some point, one way or another. It just matters how much they do, but they are. So if you aren't up to current speed on anything technology, you need to be. And as far as people like the tech experts, I mean, hospitality orientation is not going to change today, tomorrow, maybe not even for the next few months, but I do know that it will be very interesting to see how things unfold. And with a lot of different concepts being able to be deployed, even with we talked about QR codes and that entire rollout, how you interact with your customers will be very key because they're not in the restaurant spaces as they used to be. So the
Mm-hmm.
way that you either can connect or correlate with your guest matters. And if it's through technology, you want it to be positive.
You know, a lot of people, bro, like give me crap for having such long shows or podcasts, but sometimes, but like I heard this echoed somewhere. Maybe it was on Clubhouse or I don't know. I watch a bunch of listen to a bunch of crap. The best stuff sometimes happens at the very end, y'all. I think what Lethal just laid down, probably the most valuable piece to walk away with here. It's what I've been like yelling in a very animated and dramatic way for like 100 episodes. I feel like you must care about digital. He said it in the most articulate, educated, like higher educated level. It's textbook. Like if you didn't care before, you must now. It's a necessity. Like I can't tell you how many people have said I don't like Facebook or well I don't use Facebook. Well I don't care what you like or use. Business owner. Well I do because we're friends most likely, but I care about where your customers are, and I can promise you there's a
Mhm.
large percentage, if not the majority, that are on Facebook. And if they're not on Facebook, they're on Instagram or WhatsApp or Messenger. We'll get them very high,
Eventually.
very high
Yeah.
chance. And if now they're not on social, like because of this guy, y'all, I'm gonna end it here. I'm giving him so much credit because he deserves it. Like one of the questions was, what if they don't have Facebook, Ryan? If they don't have Messenger? Well, SMS, baby, text messages. That's what we came up with. And Nathel and I have done some fun things with automated text message with AI. Like we haven't even talked about how the AI works or like how the real loyalty system worked out for you guys. And it was NFC and QR codes. And whenever
Mhm.
they, we could just talk forever, man. I think you're gonna have to come on for another episode, bro. And like,
I'm fine with
what
that.
I'll do is I'll take a poll. I might broadcast my list, man, my huge million person list. You know what I'm saying? All the people that listen to the TTC podcast, the ChatBot podcast, all like 17 people, and they're all competitors. Like they're all just listening to see what I'm doing next, probably. But I'll broadcast them out and say, hey, if you have any questions for the real deal, Holyfield, Othel, drop them, and then we'll see if we can't give you the answers. Because man, you really did drop the. I knew this was gonna be fun, but you dropped a lot of
Yeah.
value, dude, and I appreciate the time and thank you, man. We gotta hang out soon.
Yeah. If your followers want me back, listen. Just let Ryan know. Haggle him all the time. Text him, call him,
Yes,
you
do
know.
it. And I'll answer you in like 7 days. Like, cause that's how the text message thing works these days, man. I'm sorry in advance to everyone. I've got too many
Yeah.
text messages. Well, man, I'm gonna get out now. I'm gonna get back to work, make some more things. doing it big. Athel, you're the man. I'll call you in a second, dude. Thank you so much for stopping by, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thank
This
you.
this guy is the real deal, y'all. I want to thank you guys for watching this episode 9. I think I misspoke, called it episode 8 earlier. When I do it back to back, I don't even know what episode it is. I hope that you guys have found value in this fun conversation that we've had. Athel is a really, really great guy, good friend of mine for many, many years. Very talented and has got the resume to prove he can give advice, right? If you do have questions, folks, I don't think I say this enough. Please don't hesitate to let me know. Many of you are very familiar with my inbox, and so I will get to you as fast as I possibly can. Be sure to check out that app, Clubhouse. Thanks again to Kelly and Daniel for letting me be a part of that. And giving a shout out to Angela, the bot copy mastress. She's awesome, and all those folks. Other than that, I am out, y'all. I'll have some fun updates for you in the next couple days. I'm not gonna drop it right now, but just know we are always working hard at TTT. We don't sleep. There's no time for that. We're trying to solve the problems, and I think what we're about to put out and unveil and unleash are going to make heads explode in all of the best ways possible. All right, guys, y'all have a great rest of your day and a great week. Thanks for watching.